Our firm was founded over 20 years ago, and we are BIPOC owned. Our consultants have over 75 years of combined experience in teaching and recruiting and consulting with independent schools. We focus on helping schools become more diverse and inclusive and equitable, and we focus on relationships, not transactions. We partner with educators who are diverse in many ways and dimensions. But the thread that connects you is your passion for DEIJB and your desire to seek out communities and schools that embrace and celebrate DEIJB. Our consultants have decades of experience in mentoring and coaching educators. We're especially proud of how we've built relationships with educators that span their entire careers, from being an associate teacher to a head of school. We also partner with member schools. At this moment, we have over 130 member schools located all across the country, coast to coast. Like our educators, our member schools are also diverse and come in all types and shapes and sizes and varieties that you can imagine. The common thread that connects them is also their commitment to DEIJB. Each school is unique in its own way, and we feel lucky to get to know them when we visit and work with them. But we realize that sometimes it's hard for a website or a social media post to convey everything that makes a place special. And so we wanted to create this sort of opportunity for a member school to have the stage and to let them share with educators what makes their school special and unique. So just to go over a little bit what the member school spotlights are going to look like today, we want to give an entire hour to focus on one member school, where the administrators and teachers and staff can talk about the culture, programming, unique aspects of the school. And this is sort of like an information session that's tailored to educators like you who want to learn more about a school that isn't necessarily sort of like highlighted in a website. So in this format, you're going to have an opportunity to submit questions in the question and answer feature. And we also we want to record this session so that we can spread the word about this amazing school to everyone who can't make it today. And so earlier we did have that record button. So without further ado, I want to turn the mic over to my colleague, Ara Brown, who will say a few words about our first member school who's going to be spotlighted, the Northwest School. Ara.
Thank you very much, Joyce. And hello, everyone. My name is Ara Brown, and I have the privilege of serving as a senior search consultant with StrataGenius. And I am extremely excited to be able to introduce the Northwest School today. So I had the opportunity to visit their campus this fall, and I was instantly struck by its warmth and the strong sense of community on its campus. And although the school is relatively young, just opening its doors in 1980, it is housed in this beautiful and welcoming historic landmark. So when you think about the space is not only an amazing place to learn, to take risks for positive gain, to explore new concepts, or to have a connection to the history of the area, but it literally and figuratively serves as the central meeting place that helps to create a strong sense of community at the school. And I have to say that the sense of community is so strong that their mascot is literally a house, as it represents not only the historic landmark where the school resides, but it also embodies a place where ideas are relished and creativity is applauded. So the school's location, honestly, just blocks away from one of the best coffee places that I have ever been to, is easily accessible in the downtown Seattle area. And its idyllic main building, nestled away on a side street, is filled with student-produced art and music, which really highlights the role that the arts play in the school's intentionally cross-disciplinary curriculum. And what's also important to note is that for this grade 6 through 12 school of roughly around 500 students, is that it also houses a boarding program. Yes, an urban boarding school in beautiful Seattle. So the school is led by head of school Ray Wilson and his diverse and talented senior administrative team. You'll get to hear from a few of them today. And this team really is committed to changing the lives of the students and the families and the faculty that are in their care. So with that said, what I want to do is turn things over to them so you get to hear directly from the source about why Northwest schools should be in your short list of schools that you're considering for the future.
All right, thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Ray Wilson, head of school. I'm entering my second year as the head of school here. And I just want to say thank you for being on the call, and thank you for expressing your interest, your curiosity about the school. And I just want to give you some information that may be helpful as you are exploring potential places to call your professional home. The school was founded, as Ara mentioned, in 1980. And we have a unique mission that's been in place for a while, but it still resonates with us. And just know, so you know, that our school, as many schools are mission driven, but we also believe in the promise of young people. And so when this mission was created by our three founders back in 1980, they did so with the understanding that, one, we want a school that can propel students forward in ways that are important to them. And then secondly, they wanted to start a school that would make a difference in not only in our local community here in Seattle, but also globally. And so there were three areas that the school considered as pivotal to our evolution. One is global education. The second is social justice. And the third is environmental sustainability. So if you think about those three areas back in 1980, they were important and necessary for humanity, if you will. And they still, they still are holding true to today. And so as again, you can see the mission is on the screen here. And it's important for you to know that 100% of our faculty are mission driven. They believe in what we're doing. They believe in the purpose of what we're trying to do for our students. And I also believe that students come to the school with the tools necessary to be successful human beings. And our program, which I'll get into a little bit later, helps to identify for students how to use those tools, when to use those tools, and where to use those tools. There are three essential questions that our students are answering throughout their time from 6th to 12th grade. One is, who are you? So they get a chance to understand their different layers of identity and how important and necessary those layers are. They get to understand their voice. So what do you have to say? It's important for students to be able to articulate what it is they have in terms of viewpoints about society, as well as their ideas and creativity to help advance society. And then the third is, what can you do? So they've understood who they are. They understand what they have to say. Now it's, I want to go out and do something. Then the last is really not a question. It's an opportunity for them to just go and do it. And so our faculty are deeply collaborative in helping students navigate those three questions. And then by the end of their time here at the school, they are well positioned to go out and just do it. So our seniors have a senior civic engagement project that they engage in the fall trimester, and that has been really instrumental in their understanding the world around them. This in front of you is just an aerial view of our campus. We're right in the middle of Capitol Hill. We use the city as our classroom as well. So we definitely can go to nearby locations for our sports practices. We do play our indoor sports here on campus, but we use the playgrounds nearby for our outdoor sports. You can see in the upper left corner, it's our boarding program. It's our dorm, where we have roughly 40 students on average who come from all parts of the world, as well as a few who come from the US, and some as local as Tacoma as of this year. So we have a vibrant boarding program, which helps us, bridge the world. As we know, it's getting smaller and smaller through the uses of technology. And our boarding program is just an extension of that work. This is our mascot, believe it or not. We are the house. It's very real. It's very, very serious in terms of a visual representation, but also in meaning and in practice. We believe in community, which a lot of schools say and believe in their own right. But for us, we take it to heart. We have a 6th to 12th grade community. We just foster and engender that collegiality among students, the support and nurturing that the faculty provide on a daily basis for all of our students. And here is something that we hold dear, which is we feel that every person in our community should have the ability to feel seen, valued, and heard. And you may have heard this, these 3 words before, I'm sure, in your lifetime at some place, but to put them all together in one area, which is our school, means a great deal to us, because we want to make sure that we're always paying attention to these 3 areas, because we want students and faculty alike to feel nurtured and supported, which in turn, it means they feel seen, valued, and heard. So it's very important for you to understand that if you were to come to work here, that we take this very seriously and we want you to feel like you're a genuine part of the community and that you have a lot to contribute to the community as well. This is just a quote that I oftentimes will use, because we are a school that's rooted in social justice, as I mentioned earlier. And this is a quote from John Dewey, but the last part I want to point your attention to, which is where it says that a community, that's just really not nurturing and providing opportunities for students to have access to really all the resources. We're just doing ourselves an injustice, as well as society in return. And so we want to make sure that our students are afforded all of the opportunities possible that we can create, and sometimes they in themselves create, and want to make sure that they have the resources to move forward in that way. So what is liberal arts? We are a school that's interdisciplinary in terms of our courses, and we also feel that it's important to understand that liberal arts for us is inclusive of all the disciplines. And what you'll see is that all of our disciplines are supported through technology as well. And so our unique program in the humanities marries English and history. So we have it all in one double block course that every student is required to take. You can see, typical disciplines: math, modern language, PE and health, science, and visual and performing arts. All of our students take 2 arts classes at the same time. So I'll get into that a little bit later. I want to pause and ask Latricia, who's our middle school director, to just say a little bit about our curriculum. And I'll just start here with the humanities. I know you're get your arms around it as well. And so if you just want to just say a few things about the humanities program.
Absolutely. At the Northwest School, we believe in teaching English, what some schools would call English and language arts and writing, and teaching history through that lens. We believe that they complement each other well, and our students will often read historical fiction books, sometimes nonfiction, in an effort to accomplish both the goals of history and English at the same time. This allows our students to have a hands-on experience as much as possible with the time period and understanding the various components of history, geography, economics, and writing about those. And also at times our teachers will go on field trips and experiences and use a place-based approach to those courses as well. We like to get our students involved in writing. And so not just reading something in a textbook, but expressing their understanding of the content through discussion, through essays, through projects, group work. It's just a really all hands on deck and approach, a well-rounded approach to understanding English and history.
Thank you. Thank you. Math, we have a strong math program. And as you see here, nearly 25% of our seniors will double up in math. Many of them are developing a passion for math. Many of them develop a passion for science, and so it's not uncommon to see students double up in science as well. So our liberal arts program provides students the opportunity to explore different disciplines and then to develop mastery and a passion, and many of them will go on to major in these particular fields when they go off to college. Language, Catalina, if you can say something about our language program as well.
Sure, I can. Hi, I'm Catalina Martinez, Director of DEI, and I use she, her pronouns. So our language program really focuses on communication, although all areas of the language are touched upon. But we understand that being able to communicate is an important aspect of language acquisition, and also being able to be aware of different cultures and how that expands our minds and gives us the ability to connect through difference. So we offer Chinese, we offer French, Spanish, and English language learning for our international students. And we have travel opportunities for each of the languages. Not only can our students travel to these countries, but we also have students from sister schools that come and stay with us for a couple of months. So we are really trying to make sure that the language program transcends the walls of the classroom.
Great, thank you, Catalina. And just so you know, also, we have 5 partner schools around the world. And so the travel opportunities that Catalina mentioned, many of them are to those schools, and we are oftentimes hosting students from our partner schools as well. Currently, we have students on campus from France and Spain. And later in the next trimester, some of our students will have a chance to go to their schools as well. So it's a very vibrant program that we're putting forward for students to experience the world, and also, again, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure that they understand that the world is tangible, that they can go where they would like to go, either through our programs or through technologies, but they definitely can have an opportunity to experience the world as well. PE and health, we have a vibrant athletics team program here. We just had our assembly this morning, and many of our fall sports teams either won their league championship or advanced to state playoffs and or made the all conference teams. And we had one student who was the league MVP in volleyball. So we definitely have a strong athletics program, and we're always on the lookout for potential colleagues to come in, not only teach in the classroom or work in our administrative offices, but also if you have a propensity to coach, either through experience or you just are interested in lending your time, there's definitely a need, and we always welcome on-campus coaches as well. And as I said here, the city is our playfield. We definitely utilize the neighboring parks for outdoor sports with soccer and ultimate frisbee, but we also again, have a strong on-site program for our indoor sports as well. Science, we offer all of the sciences that you see here, but also students have an opportunity to take advanced level courses in these particular sciences. So we don't believe in students having to be locked into a certain science level, that if they are showing interest and they've met the prerequisites, they can definitely advance their learning in these particular areas. And in technology, again, a lot of schools have technology, I'm sure, but for us, it's not only putting computers in front of the students, but it's helping them to utilize the computers in a very ethical way, to utilize their technology to deepen their understanding of different aspects of the curriculum, but also how to collect and research data that can address a societal issue. One class in particular, in the senior year, civic engagement project required them to use their computers to research data on voting rights, voting suppression, gerrymandering, things of that nature. So the students are well versed by the time they graduate from Northwest in understanding how to use technology to further their understanding, as opposed to, I know how to open up all the programs that the computer came with, and therefore I'm proficient. We want to move beyond that, and we help our students to do that as well. So we're always interested, again, in colleagues who have an interest in advancing technology for the purpose of advancing society. So that's, I'll put it in that way. Our arts, again, two departments that we have, visual and performing arts. And I'll just ask Latricia again, or Catalina, if you want to say anything more about our arts program.
Yes, of course. Last night we had our culminating dance program for our students in grades 6 through 12. All students in grades 6 through 12 are taking an art each trimester. Middle school students take 2 arts every single trimester, and in the upper school, they can take 1 or 2 depending on their interest. So we have students who are in the band and also taking intro to dance, who have never picked up an instrument or never taken a dance lesson before coming to Northwest. And our program allows them the opportunity to not only explore that discipline, but also to take risk and get on stage and perform, even though they may not be the most coordinated person, but they are learning other things through our arts program, such as, like I mentioned before, risk-taking, creativity, collaboration, appreciation for music and arts. And they really walk away having an appreciation of what those things can do to enrich our lives. And so it's one of our favorite parts of the program is watching our athletes be artists and our mathematicians play saxophone, because as we say here at the Northwest School, everything is academic.
Thank you, Latricia. That dance program last night, it was great to see our 6'7" basketball player on the stage doing dance numbers. And so it's just a fabulous testament to the community of artists, both visual and performing artists. And again, Latricia is absolutely right. The kids are enjoying themselves. Even if they make a mistake, they can bounce back. No one's holding it against them. They just really are putting themselves out there. But you may ask the question, you know, I know that some schools, many schools, if not every school, offers an arts program. And you may ask yourself, well, Ray, come on, why 2 arts classes? So just to give you a little bit more about that. So we believe in the arts because we know that they improve academic performance. So when the students are in those arts classes, and again, as Latricia mentioned, they have to use creativity to approach an essay topic or how to solve a math problem. The arts, and we believe, help students train their muscles, their brain in that way to think creatively in terms of their approach. So we do find that it does help to improve their academic performance. And as what was mentioned earlier, you know, they build confidence. I can tell you firsthand that I had an opportunity to shadow a 7th grader about a month ago, and the student had dance first block of the day. I really have never taken a dance class, but I had to do it. And so to be on the floor with the students performing their dance numbers, I did leave that class period with a little bit more confidence, my ability to do a 2-step, if you will. We also believe that the arts inspire higher levels of civic engagement because students have an opportunity to have a different way to approach their outlook on society. And so they are able to find avenues in to make a difference that otherwise they may not have been able to discover. And then we also believe that the arts teach empathy and compassion. But I think an overarching thing I want you to take away is that there was some research done a while back that suggests that if you want to solve a world issue, that you need an artist at the table also. And so we believe here at Northwest that we have students who are both and. They gain the academic background, they gain the understanding of social justice, they gain the understanding and global perspectives, as well as environmental sustainability, which again are 3 areas that are impacting society as we speak. But they also have the creativity to approach problem solving in those areas. So a Northwest graduate can sit at the table and cover both bases in that particular conversation. So we feel very, very confident in that respect in terms of why the arts are necessary. And then some of our values, I won't go into each and every one of them per se, but you can see these are things that we hold as essential to our community. So I wanted to just ask Ruth, who's our director of HR, if she can just pick one of these out and just say how it lands on you as our director of HR.
Yeah, so I'm Ruth Donahue. I'm our Director of Human Resources. I use she, her pronouns. I think so. When candidates ask me, why do you like working at Northwest or why do you continue to work at Northwest, I always talk about the community and how intentional we are. And that sense of community and belonging is is kind of woven into systems and structures here in a way that ensures we do that in all sorts of areas. I think one great example is our lunch program. So for students, the cost of lunch is included in their tuition. There's no money exchanged in the cafeteria. No one brings their lunch to school. Our program accommodates any dietary needs. The food is mostly local, mostly organic. It's prepared by chefs who have worked here, some of them 25 years. And it's a benefit for employees. So the founders of our school put that program in place as a way for everyone to come together once a day and share a meal. And it's a really profound example of an intentional value around community and belonging that the school has held since its beginning, that's just imbued into a system, and we don't really have to think about it, but we benefit from it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ruth. So again, as Ruth mentioned, our dining program is here, community meeting, which I know every school has an opportunity for the whole school to come together, either collectively or by division. But it's amazing for us to see a sixth grader get up and make an announcement in front of the entire school, and to be supported and celebrated for taking that risk, which sometimes we know can be a daunting task to get in front of a whole crowd to make an announcement. The other is our, go back one, our faculty. So Catalina, can you talk about any part of this particular slide about the wonderful work that we're doing out of your office to support faculty growth in this area?
Sure. One thing that really struck me about the faculty here at Northwest when I got here a little bit over a year ago is the vast experience that faculty have living abroad, working abroad, traveling, very unique perspectives, variety of identities are represented here. And not only that, but the support that all and each and every identity is given at the school, not only through affinity groups, but in terms of the community in general. So there's a deep appreciation for the individual gifts that people bring. And there's also, recognition of those gifts, which I think is important. Our affinity groups are another way that we support the diversity that we have in our school. This year, we have about 52% students of color and around 46% faculty of color. And those are really high numbers, not only in our region, but across the country. And one of the ways that we make sure that we can retain that faculty is through affinity groups and through a DEI office that has, several people working towards supporting the needs of faculty and of students.
Thank you, Catalina. Can you talk about this one? No, this is we draw a distinction between DEI work and social justice work. Can you say a little bit about that distinction?
Yes. So one of the big topics of conversation that we've had in the last year is making sure that social justice, because it's a founding pillar of our school, making sure that it evolves with the needs of society and the needs of our community. And so for us, social justice is the big umbrella. It's the larger mandate, and it's the destination for the work that we do. And DEI is how we achieve that. So it's the work itself, and it's the organizing and the being proactive and mindful about the things that we do in order to make sure that our teachers and our students are understanding themselves, understanding their place in society, and also, being supported to find their voice and to act for change.
Thank you. And this year we worked as a faculty, beginning last year actually, to further strengthen and clarify our position around social justice. So we finalized a social justice statement, which you can find on our website under the mission and philosophy. But I want to, as you go there, I want to direct you to two things that are important to us. One is, and Catalina mentioned it, that we recognize that students and faculty alike have many layers of identity that they bring to campus every day. And we want them to feel that all of those identities are necessary for our community to grow and thrive collectively. The second part of that is, you'll see in that statement that we have about 5 or 6 areas that we're holding ourselves accountable to. And some of them include an annual review of our policies and procedures, looking at our curriculum on a regular basis, our partnerships with local community-based organizations. And there are a couple of others there, but if you look at that, I want you to really just think about, if you were to be a member of the faculty here, how that statement resonates with you in different ways. Because I can tell you that we devote Wednesday mornings, which our students come to school, they start school late at 9 o'clock, and the faculty arrive at 8, and Catalina and her team are leading the work of us, examining that statement, exploring different layers of identity, and just building community across the board, so we can be in a better place, stronger place when we're supporting students. So just know that if that's of interest to you, this is a place where you can grow in that work. One thing that you will hear from us over time is that we want to ask students and faculty alike, really, and even through the affinity groups that Catalina mentioned, is to articulate what it is that you do want. What do you want? And a lot of our schools are very good about what we don't want. And but we feel that asking students what they want puts them in a position of strength, helps them come from a position of power to say, hey, this is what I want. I want to be able to, and they fill in the blank. So it's something that we feel pretty strong about, just reframing the conversations that are happening currently. Again, this is our environment program. And I don't know if Ruth, can you speak to this one?
I will try to do it justice.
Yes.
So our environment program is also one of the founding principles. It's been in place since the founding of the school. And one of the components of it is our students are expected to take care of the physical place. So twice a week, we stop classes and we have what we call environment teams. They're led by a senior. They include a student from every grade level. The senior is responsible for, it's a leadership opportunity for them. So they're responsible for getting the work done. And everyone's assigned a different zone in the school. And so there's a period of time where we tidy up. So you'll see students wiping windows and dusting and vacuuming. It's a really fun, kind of busy, exciting part of the day. All of our faculty participate. So that's one component of the environment program, but environmental sustainability was also a founding principle of Northwest. And so we have all sorts of programs in place to support that principle. Our food program is a really great example of it. We have a farm and garden on campus, and we're kind of in the middle of Seattle, in a really urban part of town. And so we have tall sunflowers and vegetables that we grow here and that get served in our dining program. And then we have, Ray, do you want me to talk about the Carbon Task Force? Or
Yes, you mentioned it. Yep.
Okay, so we had a group of students come together. I think last year they submitted a report where they did some incredible research and some incredible advocacy and submitted a report to administration with a plan that would make us carbon neutral by 2030. So that's a great example of our students learning advocacy, being passionate about founding value of the school, and working together to influence change.
Right, thank you, Ruth. Again, as I mentioned earlier about our global perspectives, we're the only day boarding school here in the city of Seattle. So we definitely believe in, again, our international program and also global opportunities for students to travel abroad as well. I'm going to move through the rest of the slides, so I want to leave time for Q&A. This is to give you a snapshot. We have a very strong college guidance program. We have 3 college counselors on site here, and they work closely with every student and family and really guide them towards which school is the best school for that student. And so you'll see a wide range of schools listed here that all of our students from last year's class went on to enroll in. All right, so this is the last slide. So the last part of our mission is that, believing that they have a positive impact on the world. We want students to leave our program feeling empowered, feeling prepared to engage in whichever paths that they choose after they graduate from the school. And so we feel that our program does a very, very good job of that. And we're always wanting colleagues to join the school who can further advance our work with students in this way. So I want to stop sharing. I just want to say thank you for hearing us out for the last 20 minutes or so. And I believe the slide deck will be available at a different point for you to come back to and see it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing a little bit about your school. It sounds like it's a place that really caters to everyone and trying to really create an environment where you focus on creating great human beings and also appreciating the environment that you're in. So thank you for sharing. We have some questions. The first question is, you all came from different parts of the state or nation. Where was home before Seattle, and how was your transition into your position now?
Wow. What if we start with the most recent member who joined the team and work our way around from that? All right, Latricia, you go first. You just joined us.
I knew that was coming. Yes, I just moved to Seattle this past summer in June in order to take this position. Home for me is Philadelphia, but I moved here from Savannah, Georgia, and I've also lived in the Twin Cities. So I've had a little bit of taste of all of the regions of the US, with the exception of the Southwest. Seattle is a vibrant place. It's really alive with lots of different foods, the arts, theater. I know that there's a perception out there that Seattle is not diverse or there's not a lot of brown people here, but there actually is. And I was surprised to see that there are more people of color than I expected. We're here, and there are communities that are very supportive of nurturing people's individual identities. And so I just want to put that out there for anyone who might be afraid to venture to the Pacific Northwest. There is not this sort of landscape that's unwelcoming. I also moved here with my children, and there's an opportunity for great schools, great healthcare, amazing parks and playgrounds, and just museums. So we are enjoying taking in everything Seattle has to offer when I'm not involved in this school or my kids' school, but Seattle's a great place to live. And I would not have even thought of moving here if it wasn't for this position.
All right. Thank you for that. Catalina, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I moved here in July of 22 for this job, and moved here from St. Louis, Missouri, where I worked as a Spanish teacher for many years, and then got into diversity work. I'm originally from Bogota, Colombia. And I would say that this move has been, very positive for me. I love, being in a environment that socially and politically is very open-minded. I have very, stimulating conversations with people that I work with, especially because of their diverse backgrounds, and I really appreciate that. And it's a beautiful city. that has a lot to offer, and there's a lot of things to explore. And I have a 21-year-old who goes to college in Chicago but loves coming home to Seattle, and that's been a really welcome surprise as well. So that's an added bonus.
Yeah, and I'll go next. I moved here in 2013 from the Bay Area. And what I found right away, and just jotting some notes down, this is a great question, was that the Seattle area is adjacent to so many things that a lot of people like to do. Snow, which is, you can drive 45 minutes and hit some snow. Mountains are all around. So if you are a camping person or you like to hike, there's no shortage of that. And we're surrounded by islands as well. So you can take a ferry to different islands and really experience that. And then we have a vibrant sports team, professional sports team, Seahawks and the Sounders and the rain and the storm. We can go on and on. So there's a lot to do depending on what your interests are. You'll find it here in Seattle. And then Ruth, you didn't have to go very far, but Ruth.
Great, you said camping, like if you're a person who likes camping.
No, I said if someone does, I'll go if required by the school to go on a camping trip.
I'm not a camper either. I'm a Pacific Northwest lifer, so I grew up about 35 miles south of here. I lived in Seattle for a long time and have worked here since 2002. So everything that everyone said about this place is true for me too. I love the vibrancy of the city, and also the fact that you don't have to go very far to feel completely outside of the city and quiet and in nature, and able to do all those outdoorsy things that lots of people around here love.
Yeah, lots of people do. Yes.
So as we're talking to our educators, some of them are looking beyond what is on what typical compensation is. So what does your school or your community offer, whether it's professional development for new teachers or experienced teachers? What are some of the things that aren't on paper that you're able to help compensate with the coming onto your campus?
That's a great question. I would say a couple of things that are not written down on paper, as you say. We've instituted an instructional coach program for this year, and that program is designed to support teaching and learning. So if you're a new teacher to the school, an instructional coach will be able to support you in your work, irregardless of how many years you've been teaching. It's all about how many years have you been at the school. Because sometimes, quote unquote, veteran teachers can be the ones who can go through their career and never have anyone observe them, never have anyone talk to them about pedagogy. So we want to make sure that every teacher on campus is feeling supported in that way. I know, Ruth, you want to talk a little bit about our professional development program and our dynamic curriculum grants?
Yeah, so we have, this is a great question. I love talking about benefits here. We set aside a pretty significant portion of our budget for PD every year, and that is kind of animated in different ways. So everyone has their own professional development fund. They have discretion over how to use that, everyone who works here. And then we have these grant programs. So one, we call it dynamic curriculum grant. That's for curriculum development. For our teachers, they mostly take advantage of it over the summer. So it pays for their labor and their supplies and really supports innovation. They usually do those in teams. We have something called the Exceptional Professional Development Grant Program, which is for things that kind of go outside of that individual fund. So conferences, travel. A couple examples of how we use that. We sent the entire modern language department to an actual conference one year. They were kind of looking at diving deeper into those standards. So they used that grant program to attend a conference. We had a humanities teacher attend a symposium in Montana one summer on Indigenous history. And so she was able to travel and attend that class and then come back and incorporate it into her curriculum, which was really cool. And then in addition to those grant programs, we have this professional development budget that funds speakers on campus, books and supplies that we purchase for our teachers and our other faculty. So we try to take professional development and kind of apply it in different ways that is most meaningful for individuals.
I would add, just because I know that it's unusual. So my office covers a budget for the People of Color Conference, and I didn't count, but I mean, we have more than 10 faculty going this year, and we have, 6 students, which is the maximum, plus 2 chaperones, plus another 10 faculty. So we really prioritize that space for our faculty of color, and we recognize that it's an important part of not only their personal growth, but their professional growth. And we actually have, well, both Ray and Latricia are attending this year.
Yeah. And I would also add that as a division director, I get to see professional development in other areas. And so we have a robust outdoors program for those who like that sort of stuff. And we really support our faculty in exploring that, right? And so right now I was in the talks this morning with our outdoors program coordinator about sending 4 of our faculty to get their wilderness training so that they can be experienced rescuers when our students are out camping. We also have people who come to us and say, I'm really invested in music, our band director, and she wanted to take some time and go to a university where she was going to be a guest presenter on experts in music. And we support that, and we say go, and we provide substitutes. And so there are so many opportunities for people to bring their whole self to campus, whether it's in supporting an affinity group, an interest group, running a club. Some of our teachers participate in the pep band with students. We really allow for teachers to say, I have an interest, a passion in this. Can you help me bring it to students or share it with my colleagues? And so I think that's really unique about this campus. I know a lot of places explore that, but here it almost feels boundless. And if you can sort of justify how it access the program, then the school is very supportive of it.
I think on that note, I'm glad you mentioned that, Latricia. I have on my board, I'm looking at it right now, a wild ideas section. And so it's not uncommon for faculty to come through the door and say, I have this wild idea about whatever it may be. And then last thing, you're hearing the word faculty a lot, but for us, faculty is every employee at the school. So we have teaching faculty and administrative faculty. And we believe, as Latricia mentioned earlier, that everything here is academic. So the moment a student steps foot on campus, it's a learning opportunity. And every adult in the community has an opportunity to engage that student in some capacity. We have a program called Summits, which is a 2-week program in the spring where oftentimes some administrative faculty would join a teaching faculty to sponsor a summit program for students to partake. So it's definitely a community where we want to foster lifelong learning. And so all of the adults in the community have that opportunity, and financial support, definitely cultural support to pursue an area. And then, as Latricia mentioned, we want to make sure it ties back to the school and that it continues to advance the mission forward.
Thank you for that. So it sounds like things at Northwest are moving in direction to showcase that you're serious about DEIJ work. What are some of the traditions that you have at school that's able to also show educators that you are passionate about what y'all do?
Traditions.
I mean, I would say the Day of Learning, which, originated as a way to celebrate and to commit to social justice every year through Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And so from the founding of the school, the Friday before Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the school stopped what it was doing and came together as a community to learn about social justice and often also to go out and work within the community. It has expanded through the through the desires of the students, really. into full days of learning, which we're having one every trimester. And so I think that's a great way that, you know, it showcases how tradition is part of what we do, but we are also responsive to the needs of our students, and also understand that social justice has to change according to the reality that we live in.
Right, and just another tradition in and of itself, we have something called Arts Fest, which happens in the spring. And it is just a showcase of all of the different arts that we have on campus. So from visual to performance, dance, you know, there's competitive opportunities, faculty on a team against students, and some creative movement through all of the different arts. So it's just a fun day where the department gets to showcase what it is they do on a daily basis with the students. I would say another is, we call it Winterfest, but it may change to a different time of year. It's when the science department, in collaboration with the math department, are on display. So there's lots of inventions that are showcased, different applications of math and science that are on display, and the students do a great job of doing that. One last thing related to that, which last year was my first year, so I got a chance to witness it because we're all able to be in person. It's the catapult competition. So the 9th grade science class, there are multiple sections, but they, in teams, small groups, they had to build a catapult. And then during our community meeting in the gym, all the teams had to launch their little pebble off their catapult to hit the target. Anyway, it boiled down to 2 teams. They kept hitting the target at least 5 times in a row each. And if we were to stay there until somebody won, we probably will still be there now. That was how precise the catapult was built. And so that's an annual tradition that kids are talking about it now. I can't wait to the catapult, you know. So just those are just some traditions that we have here.
My last question is, what would your past self want to know about this school that you know now?
My past self. It's a good question. So I'm thinking back to my high school days and what would I have wanted to know. I don't know. Does anyone want to take a stab at that one first?
Yeah, I think as one of the newer members of the crew, it's important to know that if you're going to join the Northwest team, that your job expands past your job description, right? And so your job description is only a piece of what you're doing, but the amount of involvement you'll have in cultivating students' social and academic careers, the academics, athletics, the arts, being around, being a part of the community is expected. And it's not only expected, but it's very much integrated into being a Northwest School faculty member. There is no just teaching and going home. And I think what I also would have wanted to know as someone who relocated is that it does not rain as much as they say it does in Seattle. There are days when it rains and there are parts of days when it rains, but honestly, there's no rain in the forecast for like the next 8 days. And so just if you're considering the Pacific Northwest and the Northwest School in particular, keep that in mind. It is not as sad and gloomy as they make it seem.
The sun does come out.
It does.
And every time it does, we can, you know, walk around the block and enjoy it.
Quickly.
Yes.
I would want to know, my younger self, are all of my teachers and the adults who work in the school capable of being supportive of everything that I'm interested in doing? So that's what I would want to know. And the answer would be yes here, that we all take a vested interest in student lives, you know, based on what they want to do, what can they do. Sometimes we will put things in front of students that they themselves had not considered, but they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. So I think that's something I would have wanted to my past self to know about today.
I would say also, I mean, how welcoming the community is and has been. You know, I had been in St. Louis for over 20 years. So it was a big move for me, and it was such a seamless transition, and really for a lot of reasons, because of the support and the care that I received from my colleagues here at school.
We have this kind of standard of excellence and academic excellence. And also our students call their teachers by their first names. We don't have bells in our building. You can walk through the hallways and kind of see kids playing instruments and kind of sitting on the floor and hanging out with each other. And what that means for us as employees is it's a little more casual than in a more formal workplace. So what my past self would have benefited from knowing is that I didn't have to wear high heels anymore to work. I could kind of unwind that professional self a little bit and still be effective in this environment. So that's something that we talk with potential employees about also.
Thank you so much. I can definitely say for myself, as being a participant and listening to your stories about the school that you're at, you can definitely feel the joy and passion. Even though we're sitting here in our own little screens, there's smiles, and I can see the smiles through your eyes that you really enjoy where you are. And we hope we continue to bring great folks your way. Before we close out, we want to give you an opportunity to say any last final words for folks who are watching the video that they should know, or piece of advice, anything that you want to say.
Yeah, I'll turn to my colleagues first. Anyone want to take a stab? Be the first ones in.
Well, I'll just say what I said to Ara when he came to visit, which was, what I appreciate most about working here is that I get to show up as my authentic self. No one is asking me to change. As Ruth mentioned, I can wear what I want. My hair can look however it is. And people are really valuing my my contributions to the community without worrying about the outward impressions. But I think that what I love the most about working here is the fact that it really is a community, and that when I show up to work, I see people who look like me in every office, in every domain, in every division. There isn't just one or two of us on campus. This adult community is so diverse, and it is indeed the most diverse place I've worked in 20 years of professionalism.
Catalina, Ruth?
Maybe it's because I'm hungry, but the food is delicious.
Yeah. I think when you come to work here, you'll be surrounded by really smart, energized, engaged people who are funny and joyful, and sometimes don't take themselves too seriously. It's a fun place to be. It's an interesting and inviting environment to be a part of.
Yeah. And I would say first, thank you to the three of you for joining me on this call. I know you have very busy schedules, and so just thank you for that. I would end by saying that I believe wholeheartedly in the promise of our students, for sure, but also in the promise of the adults that I get to call colleagues. And so I'm oftentimes asking them, I know you have your primary role, whatever it may be, but what do you wake up in the morning dreaming about doing? You know, if it's your current job, then we're going to help you be the best at whatever that current job is. But if it's something that you've been thinking about or wanting to take a stab at exploring, then let's find a way to connect you to that interest. Because I think that it's important for you on the call to know that we want you to bring your whole self to work. That means not only your physicality, but also your imagination, your dreams, because we never know what students will do 10 or 15 years down the road. So you may be sitting on a passion, and you may feel like, oh, because I teach biology, there's no way I can connect that passion to biology. But we have interest groups and other avenues, summits that I mentioned earlier, that you can probably bring that passion to the campus which students were like, oh, I like that. So let's see if we can explore that even further. So again, I just want you to know that if you're here, you will be treated as a complete professional. Your content expertise, your administrative expertise, but also who you are as a human being, like what are your interests are, and we just want to help you just grow and feel supported in that way. So thank you.
Just to reiterate what Ray said, time is a precious commodity. It is something that you cannot get back. And thank you so much for spending your time with us and sharing your narrative. On behalf of Strategy Genius and my colleagues, thank you again for all the great work that you continue to do, supporting the kiddos at your school and supporting one another, because if anything in pandemic has taught us anything, community is something that we really need. So thank you so much for your work that you do on a daily basis. And have a great day, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Likewise.